Battle chess. It took 2,000 years for someone to make chess better. And welcome to Nostalgia, a chronological exploration of every NES game released in North America. I'm Mike.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Joe.
And we've made the joke before when playing chess video games about, like, Chess 2 and when is that going to come out. And did they kind of lean into that a little bit with the back of the box there? It took 2,000 years for someone to make chess better.
Oh, that's the real back of the box?
That's the real back of the box. Do you think I'm saying that? You think I'm just giving out?
It's always the real back.
Right.
Well, I mean, this one sounded like one of the, because we've had situations where it's like, oh, I just had to say something because yada yada.
True.
But no, I mean, I'm just surprised that they would be that bold.
If you're gonna go for it, if you're gonna say buy chess because we made it better, that's the only way to say it, right? Emphasize how long chess has been around, which isn't true. It hadn't been around for 2,000 years by that point, and not by this point either.
I could have sworn that there was some stuff from a little book called the Bible that talked about chess.
But they didn't even have guns when the Bible was out.
That's true.
But they didn't have guns in the original chess either. They do have guns
in chess?
There's guns in battle chess.
True.
Which is what makes it better.
I guess there are.
Yeah, depending on which set you get, right? Isn't that like the interesting thing about chess is like, there's the standard set that everybody can buy or whatever, but then there's like, Simpsons chess and Mario chess and whatever
there's all
you
the different chessboards where you have to like look for a few seconds longer to be like, wait, is this a pawn?
Yeah, that's why I don't like any of those chess sets.
Yeah.
I just want to know how to, because like, once, maybe you'll know what the initial like lineup is, but once you start playing for a bit, everything is all scrambled.
Yeah. I have a Harry Potter chess set, which is nice because it's Harry Potter themed, but the Harry Potter theme is Harry Potter chess, so they're still chess pieces. So it's like, yeah, it's a themed thing, but it's still just chess pieces.
Well, here's a question for you, Joe, since you're on the Harry Potter chess set. It is like who the bishop is on white side the same as black's, or is it like, Slytherin and Gryffindor?
I think it's the same. I think it's like
what a missed opportunity.
I think it's like universal wizard chess. It's not like Hogwarts wizard chess,
Right, because
you're talking about my chess? Yeah, it's the chess from the movie, which is just like their version of chess.
Oh, you mean like giant chess?
Yeah, it's giant
Isn't
chess.
their
It's
version of giant chess just battle chess?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, their version of regular chess is just battle. It might be, now don't quote me on this, but it might be a little tiny bit faster than battle chess. Just a little bit. But otherwise it's similar.
What do you mean? You don't like to just sort of lumber around and then you're not really sure what's happening and because they just sort of start like stepping around each other?
Yeah. One like gets out of the way for the other. It's like, doesn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, like the knight should be on a horse and like jumping over people. Like the enemy shouldn't ever get out of the way for you. I lost all immersion at that point.
Absolutely.
And what you guys are talking about is back to the reference of the back of the box. It took 2,000 years for someone to make chess better. Better means that it has animation now. That is what they changed here. They didn't change the rules of chess at all. They didn't change how the pieces function or even a additional silly mode of chess. It is just this time the chess pieces can walk across the board. Granted, you have to still tell them where to go, but they'll walk across the board, and then a fun little cutscene that is obviously predetermined based on who's capturing who will play out, showing the combat. And to their credit, the animation is not just some dry, like, soldiers on a battlefield striking one
some
another.
Of them are.
Yeah, sure, some of them are, but then occasionally, as referenced earlier, the king will just like pull out a gun or the golem will just eat you alive. The golem being the rook, of course. Everybody always thought that the rook was a golem, right?
I mean, I guess it kind of is, because it's like it's a living castle, right?
That is weird. I never saw it that way, or thought that it was like some kind of creepy otherly being.
I mean, I also never did, but thinking about it now, why is it the only thing that's not a living person?
Well, from the canon, like the deep lore of chess, that's just sort of how castles are built. Like, like in Game of Thrones. I haven't seen it, but I imagine that like there's a castle that walks around.
Oh, right.
But is there anything else missing, or anything I'm missing in highlighting what makes battle chess specifically different than regular chess? There are no rule changes. So other than adding some fun little animations to the chess game, right? It would basically be like if they, I'm pretty sure we are going to play an NES Monopoly game at some point. If that doesn't have animation, then that's just Monopoly on NES.
Right.
But if it has animations to it, should we start calling that Battle Monopoly?
If they battle.
It really is a kind of a misnomer title. Like, I thought that this was kind of going to be like Archon, in that it was going to be chess that, like, because it cuts to a little cutscene when you interact, and that's like where Mike was talking about all of the ways that they can die or shoot people. And for some reason, I thought it was going to be similar to in Archon, where it cuts to that little cutscene where you can actually fight. But then I guess that isn't chess anymore. But maybe it could have been battle chess.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. I mean, like Archon, as much as it looks like a version of chess, it's not. The rules aren't like chess. It's got its own strategy. It's got its own rules. Its own game. I thought it would be kind of cool to have a game that has the rules of chess in some way, but like the defender, if a pawn is about to take your queen, then like the queen might have some advantage. Like maybe even though the pawn like got the jump on her because of like the positioning, maybe there's some way you can like take control in the battle and there's stats or whatever. Like that would make it different than regular chess.
And I'm not saying that would even be fun. Like that might. Like, I might hate that, but what I think that a more apt title to this game would be like Illustrated Chess.
Yeah. And it is cool, like, that they had to program like a scenario for every possible combination of people battling.
Pawn
I guess
takes
you have
knight,
to have
knight takes bishop, yada yada.
Exactly, yeah, and they have a nice little different fun thing each time. But the problem being is that it's fun to watch the first time to see what's going to happen, how they're going to make it, look like the pawn takes a rook or whatever. But then after that, it's like, okay, now I want to play chess, and it takes a long time.
Well, Joe, thankfully, there's another mode where you can just play what they call 2D chess, where it just removes the animations, and you just play chess with their figures. And so you don't
2D
have to...
is a weird way to word it, because it's all 2D, and real chess is 3D. Like, there's nothing about it.
It's all 2D. But it's got the classic, like, icons.
Yeah. I mean, classic chess would have sufficed, I think.
Non-animated chess.
Yeah. But even the 2D version, it's a lot faster than the regular version, but it's still just way too slow. I select where I want to go, and then like it stops, and like the piece blinks a couple times, and then it disappears, and then it blinks a couple times in the spot, and like, I don't know. It's fine. You usually take, if you're not timed, you usually take some good time between moves anyways. But when I'm playing against a computer, sometimes I just want to keep things moving. It's just like the game does not want that to happen.
Okay, in 1993, which really isn't too far away from 1990, Star Wars Chess is going to come out on computers and Sega CD, and that's probably about it. But like that's gonna come out, and I think even though that's just the same normal chess, right? Except for now Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader can go toe to toe instead of two random kings you've never heard of. I think with the appeal there works a little bit more because you have established characters that you kind of want to see like everybody's animation for. I want to see how Luke Skywalker defeats every single one of the Empire's pawns, etc. You know, like here, I don't think I really cared about it beyond the funny ones that were references to movies like Monty Python or Indiana Jones. So when it's just like a straight up actual battle between a knight and a pawn, it's like, well, that was a waste of time. You know, like,
well, I mean,
I didn't even control anything. To Sean's point, if it was more like Archon and it kind of became like a 1v1 fight where you at least maybe had, I don't know, not stats, but like obviously the knight should be more powerful, but if you can outtime him or something, the pawn could potentially take back the move. That would run some real risk implications to every single thing that you do, because if you put your rook up against a pawn and there's not a 100% guaranteed chance of capture, you might second think those moves, and it might make the chess game a little more strategic.
Yeah, and just to further develop this game, this imaginary chess game that the three of us are making right now, I think you'd have to also have not only like, oh yeah, of course the knight is stronger than a pawn, but you'd also have to have an advantage if you're in a position where in regular chess you would take the other thing. Like if a pawn is about to take a knight in regular chess, that should give you something to make it still play like regular chess. You know, or else you would never use your pawn to take anything because it would be the weakest thing on the board no matter what.
I think we would hate that game. I think that, you say, you can say that it might add some strategy, but this is already a strategic game. I think adding randomness makes it less so.
Is it random though?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying not add randomness, but add like the thing. All right, you have a pawn diagonal to a knight. The pawn in regular chess takes the knight. So in this case, now the pawn has a major health or power advantage, but the knight still has a chance to defend itself, kind of like Archon.
I think you are adding randomness because you're removing, like before, like if it works out that a knight moves into a bishop spot, or if any piece enters the spot that an enemy piece is in, it is a certainty that piece disappears from the board. It is no longer a certainty that piece disappears from the board, and you can move a piece into a spot and then it gets blown up. That's adding randomness because it's based off of like your.
But hold on. I don't think I'm saying randomness though. I'm saying like you have to then make it like an actual like Street Fighter fight where the knight is clearly superior, has whether it's more health or stronger attacks, like is able to do more damage against the pawn. But now it's a skill level of like if you're good enough at the game, your pawn can take down anyone.
I agree that is a thing that this game sounds like. That's what it sounds like this game is. I think that, like, why even call it chess at that point then? I'm saying that yes, that's what I thought this game was going to be, but I don't think that would have been a good game. I think we would have disliked that.
I mean, I think that there's potential for that to be a good game. I don't think that, like, if you go in expecting chess and you play that, I think you're going to be mad. But I think if you go in expecting, like, oh, this is a weird thing, like, how does this work? It's going to be a little different than chess. I think that it could be. They'd probably screw it up, but it could be cool, you know?
It's also just interesting that if you're expecting chess, just how few chess features you get. When I was writing down what to include here, in previous chess games, we had we went as far as puzzles, and we went as far as training and learning the game and tutorials. In this one, it's the most advanced feature I could find was that if you hold down the B button while it's your turn, you can see all the possible moves of where your cursor, whatever object your cursor is currently on. So you can see everywhere your queen can theoretically go by holding down the B button. And I'm like, that's it in terms of features? It's rough, you know, when I'm writing up bullet points for the show here, most of it relies on the animation because that is their standout thing. I just think they should have leaned into something else with the animation then, right? I think we're all agreeing that there's just not enough to that. There's not enough variety. There should have been more randomness in terms of what you see done between these or more movie references. Like, I don't know. I just feel like what I got.
Yeah, I guess if it was faster, more variety, like there should be several knight takes pawn animations, and they all should happen very smoothly. I remember when I was younger, I don't remember what it was called, but it was some PC chess game that we had on the family computer that there were like 20-something different like skins, and a couple of them were animated. And now granted, this was a Windows game with some pseudo 3D, so there was a bit more horsepower behind these animations, so it could be smooth and it could be quick, but like that was kind of fun because it could still be like low variety as long as it happens like smoothly. Whereas in this, like the animation is sort of a hindrance because now it's just slowing down the pace of the game.
Yeah, and it's not only like the battles that we're talking about that are slow. Like literally when you move your piece, I don't know why it's like this, but like you move your bishop and he like trudges across the board. Like God forbid you're moving like far across the board, because I mean it honestly will take like 45 seconds for him to get into the position that you want him to, maybe longer than that. And then other things that move out of the way slowly so it can keep going. And, you know, it's just nobody's in it. Even people who are interested in the animation, nobody is in it to see these things walk across the board. You know, like just let them move, let them run.
I used to have this is even before that PC game. I used to have like a physical chessboard with like a membrane top. I mean, maybe you guys had one of these too. And the board itself had the computer in it. And I think that was probably a more an easier way to play chess than battle chess.
Well, on the sequels and spin-off side, they did have a few future iterations of Battle Chess. The Amiga CD TV version, which raise your hand if you ever heard of that before. Is it
done?
Is it built into a TV? Is that why it's called CD TV, or is it just like a Sega CD? But I don't know. I didn't research that part. But the Battle Chess version for the Amiga CD TV added fully voiced introductions describing the movements of the different pieces so that there was at least some kind of tutorialization of the game. But didn't you think it was going to be fully voiced, like, completely when I was reading that? Like, not just like, oh, we added an intro that explains how the game works, and then we left the game as is.
Wait, like, so there's dialogue? Like, the pieces talk to each other now?
See, that's what I'm saying. Didn't you think that's what I was getting to? But instead, It's just like, we added this thing before you start playing Battle Chess that explains how the pieces in chess move.
Wow.
Well, okay, but that is something I thought was kind of weird, and this is like getting granular now. But you boot up Battle Chess, and like for me, I didn't even get to the not even menu, the title screen. It was just like the copyright information, and then I like pressed A or start or whatever, and then it's like the game had started. There's no menu, you don't select your mode or anything, there's no press start to begin, which is fine. It was just weird to me. It just felt kind of just thrown in there. Because there was no menu or anything, I was like, is this game finished?
Yes, that is true, because you're right. You have to then menu through that first game that it sets up for you to change anything about it, which just feels awkward. You should always, and according to every NES game we've ever played, you should always set up everything first and then go into the game.
Right.
I think it would have been more on brand if it gave you a blank chessboard, and then each like coming out onto a stage, each piece slowly trudges to its spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, they do that in Archon, but it's fast and cool, and you can skip it, I think.
Mm.
In 1991, a year later after this release, Battle Chess Enhanced was released for the PC and Mac, and it really is just updated graphics. Most of even the battle animations remain the same, and they didn't even fix the speed or like the walking speed of the characters or anything, or their specific looks or whatever. It's just like, hey, nicer graphics. So I guess that's all you could expect in a year's time, but does that deserve the enhanced moniker?
I guess it's not. I guess it's describing it.
I mean, does this mean that this was like well received? That it's getting all this like love after the fact?
I think it was just cheap. I think it's cheap to make, and they made more money than it cost to print the cart. Who made this? Is this like anybody we've heard of?
Interplay Productions.
Interplay?
Interplay
the one we know, or like some other Interplay?
Well, what else do we know by Interplay?
Well, Interplay, was the company that released like Fallout.
Yes, the very same. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I see
publisher
it now.
of Baldur's
now
Gate.
That I'm thinking about it, I see the Fallout, DNA in this.
Absolutely.
Yep. So the very same, and yes, it was, Joe, to your point, and probably Sean's right on something about at least the production side, cheap to make. I don't know if it was cheap to buy, but it was released on everything too, so it was just kind of ubiquitous as like for the video gamer who needs chess, we've got you covered because you're on the Amiga, the 3DO, something called the Archimedes, the CD32. The CD-TV, the Apple II GS, the Atari ST, the Commodore 64, the FM Towns, the PC-98.
That's what I was waiting to hear, the FM Towns.
You knew it was coming to FM Towns.
Absolutely.
So what would you do with Battle Chess 2? And spoiler alert, there is one. So if you were Interplay and you were hugely successful with Battle Chess, what would Battle Chess 2 be, knowing that you already did Battle Chess Enhanced with like a, graphical overhaul?
I would have Battle Chess with different like quirky ways of playing chess. And I'm not talking about what we were talking about before, but like I don't remember what it's called, but there's a way to play chess where you have two chessboards and two people are playing, and if you take the white queen, then that white queen goes to the other white player playing the other side. So you can have everyone's always trading pieces to these two games, and then whichever color wins both games ends up winning.
And it's called Battle Chess 2 boards.
Yes, love it.
That's interesting. No, I would make each I think that there would just be regular chess, and it would just be this game, with the really slow animations. But there's a second mode where you can just pick a piece to be like a Tamagotchi, and you like feed them, and like if it's you can like have little like there's little mini games where you can like scratch their chin. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Ooh, and if we're going Tamagotchi, I think it would be cool then if you could like. Yeah, you have you're taking care of a little pawn, and then it'll like eventually evolve into like a bishop, or like alternatively it'll evolve into a rook, and eventually you get it to be a queen.
No.
You raise it.
Pawns are lowborn. They will never become kings and queens.
Well, they can become knights.
Sure.
Yeah, and then maybe something else becomes something else. Or maybe it could become like a weird duck thing, like Tamagotchis did.
Battle Chess 2 abandoned traditional chess for Chinese chess.
Chinese chess?
Chinese chess. I believe it's called Jiangqi, which is also just known as Chinese chess here in the West. But it's just it's the same idea, same like, hey, let's add all these fun animations and everything. But hopefully they included a tutorial for this one, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't know the rules of Chinese chess.
I definitely don't know the rules. Didn't know that was a thing. I know Chinese checkers.
Yes, which was what I was wondering. I was like, is that what that is? But apparently no. Chinese chess is different, and it's also different than shogi, which is Japanese chess. Shogi I've played thanks to Clubhouse 52 on Nintendo Switch, but Never heard of Chinese chess before. I mean, I'll check it out. Why not? The problem with Chinese chess, at least in the game that they made, is that the board requires like a lot of different directions. It's not just a 64 square board. It like allows a lot of different ways that
Is it like hex?
No. It's still a square board, but I just mean like you can walk in a lot of different directions depending on where you are, and then you can only walk forward, and then you can start walking in a bunch of different directions again. So everything got like, in order to fit it on the screen, everything got kind of like scrunched in, which makes everything look really stretched, which is just not a good decision. Instead, there's got to be another way to emulate that, but I've never seen another version of Chinese chess done on video games, so maybe this is the great barrier for humanity, or for civilization. Nobody has been able to put Chinese chess on a video game, and that's usually what collapses society. In 2015, all right, let's jump ahead. There was a remake of Battle Chess called Battle Chess Game of Kings, released on Steam. And believe it or not, they still did not fix the speed of which these characters walk around, and it's on
There's
Steam.
not even like a slider?
I didn't see a slider in the playthrough that I watched, but I only watched so much of it because they were walking so slow. Also in 2015, about like 17 days after the release of that game, Brian Fargo, who was, I guess, the creator of Battle Chess, or at least a lead developer on it, revealed that he was working on a Battle Chess 3.
You gotta be kidding me that Brian Fargo worked on this game.
Brian Fargo revealed that he had started working on Battle Chess 3 in the late 1990s. But
who is Brian Fargo?
He's like another like CRPG guy. Like he worked on Wasteland and stuff. Like geez, this is wild to me.
This is what I usually dedicate a whole section for, and I'm just like stealth dropping it in the sequels and spinoffs. But Wasteland, if you take a look, that was Interplay. So
yeah,
it's all connected. Yeah.
I just thought maybe this was like a part of Interplay, that like this is before they got into like the cool stuff and they were still doing shovelware, but maybe I get, some of the names that I know were like, they're not above shovelware.
So when did Fallout 1 like come out?
I don't know, like 94?
Yeah. Okay. Because in 91, Interplay worked with Nintendo to make Mario Teaches Typing, which is just insane to say out loud. But yeah, the same people. That is a computer game, one of the few Super Mario Brothers computer games in which, Mario.
Sorry, 1987. So
okay,
yeah.
So some time between these, they were able to realize their potential. But they were already working on stuff, right? Weren't they? Didn't they do like? I have no idea. Actually, I'm not gonna say that was them. But I thought A Bard's Tale.
It's really funny, and I know that like I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for Interplay, and it's funny that they're just doing it in alphabetical order, and like in terms of all of the IPs that they've worked on. So it just goes from Baldur's Gate series to Battle Chess series.
Well, they released enough of them,
I guess. And then you've got Clay Fighter and Earthworm Jim. So, it's a complete random assortment of things.
So the Battle Chess 3, to go back to it, was canceled. However, a prototype footage was released. So as like a tease for fans. Nothing ever came of it, but it was, like really weird early CG graphics. So this would not have been on any Nintendo console. This would have probably just been a computer game. But when I say early CG, I mean the kind of stuff Pixar was doing before Toy Story.
That might have even been the game that I played. Now, if we're saying that this is like the definitive series of computer chess throughout the 90s, I might have owned one of these.
Check out Battle Chess Enhanced. You might have played that. Yeah. And did they walk slow? You said slightly faster.
I feel like they didn't. I feel like it was faster than this.
You just had more time as a child.
Yeah.
You were willing to watch them walk silly across from one square to another. And I know we did say this at the beginning, but it's worth mentioning again that it is kind of funny that like other characters just move out of the way as they move across. Like there's such a wasted potential here for just like different variations of like who's fighting who too. Like we could have had some guerrilla war style fighting, and then some, medieval fighting, and then some sci-fi futuristic fighting. Like it is wasted that there's just one set, but I get that has to do with the fact that they could only program so many animations. And they could have also just released those as separate games, which it seems like that was the plan with the Battle Chess franchise, just continuing to get release after release. But we're going to just focus on the Battle Chess on NES for our next segment, the Essential Games List. I think we kind of covered it here. I will just say, as a fan of chess, there was very little to be a fan of here. And I get it that, like, it's a different time period now, but that's kind of the point of the show. So I really didn't like it today, which is when it counts the most. I don't know if, like, as a kid, or if like the idea of kind of like the first time you can put like a DVD into your laptop and just be like, I'm watching movies on my computer, right? Like I suppose that was like a cool moment that now nobody gives a shit about, but it was cool back then. I guess maybe chess with animation was worth saying that it took 2,000 years for someone to make chess better, but now we've animated it knowing that CG was on the rise and everything. Like I could see the appeal of something like that, but it's only in hindsight, nothing to look forward to now. Sean?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the only reason that these really that this had to have been successful just because of the novelty of seeing chess pieces walk around. And once you've seen it once, you've kind of finished it, and you may as well just play chess on against a computer on like a cheap like $20 like Panasonic chess set if you need to play against the computer.
Joe.
Yeah, nothing about this felt in any way elevated from chess. I mean, the one thing would be those fun animations, and the animations were heavily outweighed by the fact that they were really tedious. There was no after 2 minutes of playing this game, I'm just like, okay, I just want to play regular chess. Like, I don't want to see these things lumber across the board. Like, while it's kind of fun to see how this piece will take out that piece, otherwise, it's just chess with a lot of obstacles. So definitely not essential.
All right, that's 3 no's. So once again, not essential, and it's been a minute since we've had an essential game. I don't know what our longest drought is, but this is a pretty long drought. You guys feeling okay to keep the show going?
I think we can just drop it here.
Joe?
I don't know. Does it get worse? I mean, I feel like we got to be coming. There's something coming up, like Crystallis or something, like Crystallis. Like we got some gems coming. I'm confident. Final Fantasy's coming up.
It is coming up very soon, but actually, I'm confident next week, Circus Caper is just that gem that we've all been waiting.
Yes,
Everybody always wanted to play a game where your sister gets kidnapped at a circus, and this is that game, finally realized. I know Todd Howard worked on this, and it's really funny to think about who might have worked on this game. Who are we going to reveal? Stay tuned for the next episode of Nostalgia, not Nextalgia. Friday, every Friday, as a matter of fact, every Friday since 2018. So that's worth looking forward to, because we're going to keep doing that until, like, what'd you say, Joe? What was the math? 2034?
2032.
2032. Okay,
we should
so
we'll quit now.
2032 is right around the corner, Sean.
Yeah, and yes, stay tuned. Don't leave the podcast. Come back. Like, keep the podcast running all week until next Friday.
And rewind the episodes when you're done with them.